In September 1999, Harlan C. Stonecipher gave a speech that opened with a passage from Isaiah, chapter 8, verse 6. Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send, and who will go for us?" And I said, "Here I am, send me." He did so because he was preparing for a call to action. Today, his words and the spirit of Harlan Stonecipher, the founder of Legal Shield, I hope will ring through my own voice. Anyone that knows me knows that I love the United States of America, the country in which I was born and in which I live. The country offers more freedom, more opportunity than any other country in the world. This is a country that promises to offer each of us the ability to succeed and achieve as much as our desire and abilities will allow us. The promise is for everyone. It is the United States Constitution. The only limits in America should be those we place upon ourselves. But today, but actually not just today, for more than 200 years, we realize that there is a problem with that promise. The promise of freedom and opportunity are being broken by limits to our equality and barriers to our full and fair justice. My friends, we can focus upon the evil or selfish parts of our nature. That's one explanation of why things must change. Another argument could be made that the Age of Enlightenment, of the works of Adam Smith and John Locke, David Hume and Rousseau, have outlived their usefulness, but unfortunately their influence is still felt today. You see, the Enlightenment created the social contract, which led to the separation of citizens from social and political life. Things like elected government through representatives. But more importantly, it was the general division of labor. The Enlightenment successfully argued that each of us had worth according to our economic contribution to the greater output. You should also know that the Enlightenment really created career politicians. The people did not participate any longer in social and political life. Instead, the professional politicians were created to handle that for us. I think that, by the way, is not only wrong, but I think the end of that has come, and that we must take action to reinvigorate our social and political lives. I'll share with you a final explanation of how we've gotten into this broken promise, and that is that government has gotten too big. Local government, including the police, state government, federal government. Harlan Stonecipher argued that any nation, as it gets older, well, the more personal liberties are given up. I think that we should reflect upon that today. This nation was founded with a desire to create a better society, but it did not originally include women, and it did not originally include African Americans in that promise and that system. But the promise was written, and it has been amended. Equal access to the liberty, the equality, the opportunity, and the justice for everyone. If I could change the world, wave a magic wand, and poof, it would change. What would I do? I would ensure that our system of government would function as it was intended. I would change our personal attitudes to respect the basic human rights of every citizen, to respect the human rights regardless of race and religion, background, economic status, age group, or gender. I'm talking about civil rights, and I'm talking about human rights, specifically also of the economically disadvantaged, the disenfranchised. It must be the right of every American, black, white, brown, rich, or poor, not to be deprived of hope. Those who are deprived of justice are deprived of hope. Without equal justice, there can be no hope. Those who feel that they are deprived of equality are deprived of hope. Without equality of opportunity, there can be no hope. But we can change that. You and I, we can change that. And we can do it right now. Not next week, not next month, but right now. Langston Hughes said it best, quote, "Let America be America again," end quote. We provide hope. We provide equal access to justice and opportunity. We have the power to face and reject hate and depravity. We have the power to reject the ideas that dehumanize us as cogs in the machine. We can choose a life, a full life of social and political engagement. We can fulfill the promise of the U.S. Constitution. This is what we do at Legal Shield. This is our just cause. Equal justice under law is the inscription on the west side of the Supreme Court building in Washington, D.C. But as Harlan Stonecipher said, there's just one problem with that promise. It is just not true. It should say equal justice under law unless you are a person of color, a woman, or poor. That's not what it says, but that's what it should say, because that would be the truth. Racism must end. Profiling of any group is insidious and should be stopped. We must stop it, and we can stop it with Legal Shield. Harlan Stonecipher railed against the crime of DWB, driving while black. He said it must be stopped, but it has not. Every American, regardless of race, color, creed, or economic status, cannot be deprived of their inalienable rights. It's un-American, and it is a violation of the Constitution. As things are changing for the better, since the 20 years that Harlan shared his original words, it still has not changed enough. If we don't know our rights, then all due respects, we don't have any. But we know our rights at Legal Shield, and we must help others understand them and live free under them. We know the answer. We can empower people with our membership. We provide the Legal Shield. Empowerment is hope. Our work is to keep that hope alive, to go past survive and to thrive. We must again believe in America because we must work tirelessly to fulfill its promise for everyone. We are those frustrated and disenfranchised who will not remain silent. We must protect and empower more people to live free and a full life in America. Dr. Derek Bach, former president of Harvard University, said, "There is far too much law for those who can afford it and far too little for those who cannot." No one is satisfied with this state of affairs. More laws are not the answer. The answer is access. The answer is equal justice under law. We have that answer. I'd like to read something that Vivian B. Martin wrote in the Baltimore Sun in her article, Driving While Black, in 1999. Quote, "Think what you want about black paranoia. It's necessary for survival," end quote. It should not be that way. It cannot be that way. There is more than adequate legal protection available to those that can access it. Access is the key. Far too much for those who can afford it, far too little for those who cannot. The system is based upon inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In the face of relentless abuses by an ever-expanding government, our liberty is threatened, and you cannot pursue happiness if you live in fear. The opposite of the law is power. The opposite of freedom is subjugation. When government or companies, or quite frankly, some of your neighbors, impose their power in place of the law, then you are not free. We are not free. We are subjugated. Those that use power for their interests and not for the people, they violate the spirit and the letter of our Constitution. But we have the opportunity to do something big for the little guy. We have a need for the people's lawyers. And they're your lawyers and they're mine. They're the Legal Shield lawyers, and they are warriors for our members. They do battle for our members every day, every hour. Legal Shield lawyers don't judge us. They fight for us. But they can only fight for our members. You have the ability to protect and empower everyone, but especially people of color, women, and those whose economic status is less than rich. By the way, which is like 98% of our country. You give the ability to control destinies, the ability to demand and receive equal justice under the law. Let's do something big for the little guy. It's time to get fed up and fired up. I have said it before, and I will say it again. We have the right to be angry. We have the right to be frustrated. We have the right to feel rage. But we must focus that into a positive energy for change. We must turn hate into love. And we must protect and empower more people. We must be angry that the Constitution is not being lived. We must find a way to change the system of injustice and focus it to become a system of justice. You must challenge yourself to do more right now. It's the right of every American to equal justice, regardless of race, color, creed, gender identity, or economic status. The color of freedom in America cannot be green. It must be red, white, and blue. Americans are being victimized every single day because of the lack of access to the legal system. They are being humiliated, detained, falsely accused, and yes, denied of their very life. This is wrong. We must help people. We must help people. Everyone. I know many of us love Darnell Self, our Executive Vice President of Network and Business Development, Millionaire Club member, Platinum Executive Director. However, at the end of the day, he can take off all those hats, but he cannot take off the color of his skin. If his skin causes him to be profiled, deemed a threat, or even murdered by unqualified, over-aggressive, and perhaps racist police, then we have to agree that his life and the lives of all of our Black community matter. Let's ask everyone to join our cause. More than just a great business opportunity, it is the opportunity for people to become part of a cause, a mission, and a movement. Let's stop racism. Let's actually do something about social injustice. Give everyone a shield to protect their God-given right guaranteed by the Constitution. Isaiah said, I heard the voice of the Lord saying, who shall I send? Who will go for us? And I said, here am I, send me. Let me ask you a question. Who shall we send and who will go out for us? I ask, why not you? Why not now? Who will stand for equal access to the liberty, the equality, the opportunity, and justice that every human deserves? If you will stand, I will stand beside you. If you will stand, stand now, and I will stand with you. It is time for us to lead the change.